is up next.
Now you're in trouble.
Thank you, Bob. Congratulations on this roast. Glad to have you joining us here today.
You haven't finished yet.
I haven't. I didn't understand the concept of the roast thing because I didn't really have any dirt on anybody else here. I'm not afraid of Marty, but I will never say anything bad about Marty. I did see your nephew about an hour ago. He was scraping your car out there. He was gleefully running his fingers up. So, well, in putting a roast together, you try to figure out all the dirt that you can on somebody. And at first I thought, how could you take a great man, a legend like this, and come up with dirt and bad things to say, and it wasn't really that hard. It came to me all of a sudden. You'll direct your attention to some of the slides over here. I have to be assisted by slides. This is how I work, and I hope this all works. But we have the start off with Bob, the greatest. And I'm going to talk about a few things. I did dig up some things from the Disney company and other projects that he had that are very little known facts that I think you'll all be interested in. Bob is an incredible man, and one of the things that I think attracted me to what he did was the Lincoln Project, and the animation in that. I was enamored with Lincoln as a child, and so I started investigating. Walt picked Bob to develop the Lincoln figure, and that was wonderful. It wasn't because of Bob's mechanical genius, it was more because he was the only one at the studio who actually personally knew Abraham Lincoln. It's a very rare historical photo. Working on it for the World's Fair, and any of you that have been interested in animatronics probably have heard some of the rumors. In the beginning, they had trouble getting the mechanics to fit properly inside the figure, and they had to have his hair. There was a spot in his head that was a little large. And Bob is a great mechanical designer, but aesthetic design sometimes, he's a little bit. Some of the initial concepts that he presented to Walt, trying to fit the mechanics inside. Not exactly. He had several ideas as he tried to squeeze the mechanical mechanisms inside. Walt kept sending Bob back to the drawing board, though, and he kept asking Bob to make it look less mechanical. Bob had an incredible idea. He thought, as far as, show people, mechanical people at Maple are not supposed to get involved with the show, but Bob was hoping that he'd have a chance to show off what he does, that Lincoln would actually be able to take off his face during the show and demonstrate some of the things that Bob did. So when the World's Fair was over and everything kind of moved back to Disneyland, Bob was asked by Walt to develop a concept for a new kind of elevated train, and what we know today as the monorail. Well, Bob went to Walt with a number of ideas. He started with the Decker rail, which was the 10 rail, and went to the Octa-rail and Quad-rail. Finally, he came up with the Bi-rail. And Walt said, well, that's a train. We already have that. So Bob was thinking, he thought, what else is left, and the one rail, he was driving home on the freeway one night from that meeting, and he was racking his brain, what could I do that would work? this on the freeway. And then he got home and he's taking a drink, he's having a Gurtini, and he looks over and here's his cat. Actually, you had several cats. So it finally came to him, the monorail, okay? So the monorail concept. So Bob started working on a concept, and one of his first presentations to Walt Walt said, no, the throughput, Bob, we have to carry more than a single person. So Bob started working on some additional ideas. It got a little closer to what we see today. Occasionally he stumbled back into some interesting concepts. And then Bob came to Walt and said, Walt, I've got it, I finally got it. The Disneyland in Santa Fe monorail. And Walt said, no, the train is the train, and we're going to stick with the single rail. So actually, this was the final concept before the monorail as we know it today, but it wouldn't fly because it violated the patent for the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. So then we ended up with the monorails we know today, and Bob was so excited about being chosen to build the monorail that he actually has this in his backyard. Now, Bob was so successful with the monorail, he was asked to start developing Main Street vehicles. And when Walt started talking to him about the little, Bob just didn't, get the design concept right away, because when he started designing for the three little pigs, this was one of the initial concepts. The Jungle Cruise had the turtle car. When the initial concept of actually having a dentist on Main Street, well, this was one of Bob's designs. He was always anxious to impress Walt, so he wanted to try to save as much money as possible. So he said, the horse cars, I could build them for less than $100 a piece. So we could save a lot of money. He wanted to include the carousel when possible on Main Street also. But actually the thing that is Bob's love of his life is the cruises. Everybody knows here that Bob goes on cruises. And when Walt mentioned something about cruising Main Street, I think Bob got the wrong impression. And there we have a picture of Bob on the Main Street cruise liner. Now after Bob kind of finished up at Disney, went on to design some other projects. He wasn't as even, with Walt around to kind of direct him, he went to, Universal Way, and when he came up with the concept for the King Kong, the initial concept was a little embarrassing. It was simple. Bob is very proud of it, but it wasn't quite what they wanted. So he was proud of the head that he built, and he didn't have enough time really to build a body. So this is delivering the finished King Kong with no body. It was a head on a stick. Bob is very well known in the fan base world for his generous signings and things of that nature. Well, we caught some glimpses of him here signing some autographs, which he does very frequently, and he's well known for that. I think everybody has a autographed Bob artwork or photo or something of that nature. I know I do. I have an actual letter here, Bob, that you all have heard about the roast tonight from Herkimer Bartholomew Sharp III and his wife Natsa Sharp. And he was the inventor of the Sharpie, and he sent me some company information that actually, some of these Sharpie sales in schools, was, fairly impressive. Institutions, commercial. When Bob started doing D23s, this was the Bob Gurr Sharpie sales. So he appreciates, they appreciate your assistance in helping with that. It is. Bob signs everything. He signs everything that he can get his hands on, ride vehicles and so forth. And here's an example of that. I'm going to jump off that just a moment. We have we mentioned already the Gurtinis, and everybody knows that Bob enjoys the drink of choice, that Bob invented the famous Gurtini. Bob has a lot of pull with his Gurtinis. He goes to Club 33 a lot. And that they just expanded Club 33. The expansion of Club 33 was not, as some people think, for the diners. It was actually for the gin storage. The gin and vermouth, they had nowhere to put it, so they needed an extra. It's almost the entire top of the Pirates of the Caribbean. In fact, if you've noticed construction around Disneyland, I'm not sure that you've noticed the gin refinery that's been built behind the park. They're manufacturing gin and vermouth to try to keep up with Bob's problem. Well, the problem that we have with that is when Bob goes to Club 33 and he partakes of his Gurtinis as often as he does, he gets a little carried away sometimes when he goes to leave the park. I think somebody's already mentioned it, the old story, everything on wheels at Disneyland, it's probably built by Bob. Well, by the time Bob leaves the gate, he's had all these Gurtinis, and unfortunately, they catch him often in the parking garage signing the automobiles. Basically, he signs everything that has wheels. And this is their best effort to control Bob. But I must say, as I say, we've all got something signed by Bob. I don't have a number of artworks in my hallway signed by Bob. And I just want to end in saying that, it's wonderful to be able to come here and roast Bob. He's been a wonderful friend for many, many years and helping me with my business, and, great to work with in the industry. And you have to think about what would Disneyland be without Bob Gurr, all of those great things that we ride on and see. And here's the biggest family entertainment company in the world, and it was successful because of the success of Disneyland and the parks, and the parks and things that we ride on. And look at all these things that we ride on that Bob Gurr created. I remember getting on as a kid. And how amazing is that? The things that came out of this man's head made Disneyland, the park, successful. And then that brought this company to what it is today. Is that amazing?
Thank you for the microphone.
Another lifetime of designing things, and I'm proud to be able to say I'm your friend. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alice Davis.
Alice is eating raw carrots tonight. She'll be ready in just a few moments. In the meantime, hi, how are you? Fantastic. Going back to Alice now.
Alice, if it makes you feel any better, I've been eating a lot of cheese, so things could go really south.
Too bad you can't chew it for me.
You'll have to take me out to dinner, sweetie.
I should have brought my vegetable grinder. I'm of that age now. But,
Johnny,
always,
bird thing.
what?
Keep on moving. Moving on.
Okay, well, it's always nice to come to these because it keeps me young. I've been seeing most of you, most of my time of working at Disney, and it's like family home week. And I see all kinds of friends I've seen year after year, and it's wonderful for all of you to do such a thing, and I love it. And thank you so much, and as long as I can make it, I'll get there if you will.
I second that,
Alice, she's the sweetest lady I have ever met.
Yeah.
I know nothing about costumes, but I love everything she tells us about how you design costumes for Small World and Pirates. She is such a scientist and a detail creator of stuff I know nothing about because I only know stuff to do with wheels. I don't know anything about stuff that goes on people and looks absolutely fabulous. This is absolutely made my night that Alice actually got down here to withstand a roast. But I've had great times with Alice. Not too long ago, she invited me to her house, and she was very gracious. She showed me everything around the house. Gave me one of Mark's books and autographed it for me.
Did she show you a fork?
But it was always a pleasure meeting with him, and we always had lovely talks together. And it helped. Sometimes the men in the shop weren't too thrilled about having a woman in the shop working with them and asking them to do things. But I had to. But one way I got back with him, I don't know if anybody heard about what happened with Lincoln in New York, the World's Fair. Next door to the Illinois building was the Japanese, and they had big pots of what do you call it, the blue metal balls, bearings. They had big pots of bearings, and everybody would come in and fill their pockets with the bearings, and then they'd go over to see Lincoln, because they thought it was a real man in the suit. And they'd throw these balls at them, and they were hitting, and he wasn't screaming like maybe until the floor was covered with these bearings. And the men were slipping on it when they went in to check to see if any damage had been done to Lincoln, and they were taking terrible falls. So I was trying to tell them, stand your foot and slide it back and forth until nothing's under it, and then skate across to get to the thing, and they wouldn't do it. I finally got one to do it, and he was the only one that didn't end up with a bad knee or an ankle. And we finally went over to Japan and had them remove the buckets of we couldn't have him run out in underwear. There were a lot of things like that that were great fun too. And he laughed a lot with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am not who I seem to appear to be. I am nobody, and my wife reminds me of that every day. My lovely wife over there, you recognize her, the one with the disappointed look on her face. But anyway, what can I say about a man that is admired, loved, and revered by everyone in the Magic Kingdom? Well, I can start by saying this is not the man here tonight. Tony Baxter is all right. So anyway, the band we are honoring tonight is the
the legendary Disney legend, Bob Gurr. It's too bad he couldn't make it to, oh God, there you are. I thought you were a duffel bag. I haven't seen that since the elephants in the wading pool on the Jungle Cruise.
I got his address for you, Bob.
No, but you're really special, Bob, in an Olympic kind of way. Don't worry, it's going to take all night. All right, Bob comes from a very tight-knit family. In fact, his parents are very close. They're first cousins. Which explains the oversized cranium, large ears, and pronounced chin. I'm not saying he's got big ears, but currently Bob's being sued by Dumbo for copyright infringement. He fancies himself an auto stylist. Auto stylist my ass. His design, the omnibus, looks like a two-story short bus shuttling imbeciles down the center of Main Street. Hey, mommy, look at the castle, look at the castle. But seriously, it does afford a nice view of the windows on Main Street. And we all know that Bob was honored with a window on Main Street. My question to you, Bob, is it a single or a dual-pane window?
I looked really close at it. On the curtain behind, there's a dead fly.
A dual-pane window, because it pains me that you have a window on Main Street in the first place, and Bob, you're a real pain in the ass. Okay. Marty has a window on Main Street. Unfortunately, he's here tonight, so we have his animatronic double sitting right here. But I do believe he's leaking some fluids, Garner. Check that out. Oh, and while you're at John's programming, his lips aren't in sync with that.